Hello and welcome back. The latest Young and the Restless episode delivers consequences that feel both shocking and inevitable. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Friday, August 14th reveals Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, will spill the beans to Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, and Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn. Also coming up, Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, and Chelsea Lawson, Melissa Claire Egan, will discuss Christian. Plus, Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley, will disagree with Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott. And Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, and Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer, will discuss Billy's find. Why on our spoilers tease Adam will tell Chelsea he just spent some time with Christian and he's in bad shape. And he'll add they'll probably be seeing more of him over the next few weeks. They'll continue their conversation about a character who hasn't been seen on screen in years. He wanted to know if I thought his dad was going to die, Adam will tell Chelsea. And he told him of course not. But Adam will admit he's had a lot of dark thoughts about his brother. What happens to Christian if he can't beat this? Does Adam have any regrets about Christian? Chelsea will ask if it brought up any unresolved feelings, and she'll wonder if he thinks it was a mistake to let Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, raise his biological son. Adam will say he doesn't regret it, Nick has been a great father to him. Then Victor Newman, Eric Braden, will show up and tell them they all need to support Nick. At the ranch, Victoria will tell her mother that she finally got a text from Nick. Nikki will say she's glad he's serious about his recovery, but she's upset with herself. I lied to him. She told Nick she and Victor were returning to Venice today, but they're not. Victoria will tell Nikki not to feel bad. This is Nick's fight, all they can do is cheer him on. Talk will turn to the off-screen cousins and how great they've been. Then Nikki's nose will get out of joint when Victoria says Nick asked Adam to periodically check on Christian. Can we trust Adam to be the stable influence that child needs? She'll ask. Personally, I have my doubts. But Victoria will say Chelsea will rein him in. Nikki will admit she softened him, but Adam is still Adam. Victoria will say he's changed and deserves the credit. Who would have imagined I'd be on Adam's side? I think hell just froze over. At the Park Cafe, Billy will tell Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, and Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer, he wouldn't have brought this to them if he didn't have proof. Chancellor Industries is legally ours. He'll show Jack a screenshot he took of the deal and he'll say it looks legit. Are you going to take Chancellor back from Lily? Jack will ask. Billy will nod and say they shouldn't forget Kane. His is the face I want to see when I drop this news on their laps. Kyle will say he can see years of battling this out in court. Need to decide if it's worth fighting for. You are deluding yourself, Jack will tell him. Think this through, Billy, you don't need this. And he'll ask if he's prepared for a war. You're damn right I am, he'll reply. You think Sally will be okay with you jumping into another mess at Chancellor? Jack will ask and Billy will storm off. He's doing it again, he cannot help himself, Jack will say to Kyle. Kyle will point out they're always ready to pounce all over Billy. But maybe this one isn't so crazy, he'll add. What if Chancellor really does belong to us? Jack will tell Kyle they need to loop in his sisters. We need to all decide whether this is a battle worth fighting. Meanwhile, Lily and Kane will chat over breakfast at Society. She'll ask what's going on with Billy, but he won't want to talk about it. Out with it, she'll reply. What did Billy do this time? Kane will say Billy thinks there's information in the company archives that have to do with a secret benefactor who bailed Chancellor out. Kane will add that he thinks Jill Abbott, Jess Walton, knew about it and never told him. Lily will tell Kane she thinks they should fire him immediately. I can handle Billy, he'll reply and ask for a little more time. They'll jokingly toast to Billy, who will conveniently show up. Lily will bring up his searching through Chancellor's past and she'll urge him to focus on the future instead. But Kane will say he's betting he didn't find anything. On the contrary, I found everything I was looking for, Billy will reply. Finally, Kane will ask what was buried in the archives. I found the keys to the kingdom, Billy will say. Kane, I'm sorry, Lily, I'm sorry, but Chancellor Industries is mine and I can prove it. But will they believe him? What really stands out is how quickly alliances begin to shift. Billy tells Kane and Lily he owns Chancellor. Victoria defends Adam to Nikki. The following is an original, fan-style expansion inspired by the August 14, 2026 storyline. The reported episode developments include Billy confronting Kane and Lily with his claim to Chancellor Industries, while Nikki questions whether Adam can be trusted around Christian and Victoria pushes back against that suspicion. Genoa City is about to become even more complicated as old family loyalties, business rivalries, and painful memories collide on the young and the restless. Billy Abbott has spent days digging through Chancellor Industries' history, convinced there was something buried in the company's archives that could change everything. Now he believes he has found it. And Billy isn't keeping the discovery to himself. His revelation that Chancellor Industries may actually belong to him threatens to turn his relationship with Kane Ashby and Lily Winters upside down. What began as an investigation into an old corporate mystery could quickly become a full-scale battle for control. But Billy's bombshell isn't the only major confrontation unfolding. At the Newman ranch, Nikki Newman remains deeply worried about Nick Newman and increasingly suspicious of Adam Newman. With Nick back in rehab and Christian struggling with the uncertainty surrounding his father's recovery, Nikki fears Adam could eventually move into the role of Christian's father. Victoria Newman, however, isn't prepared to let her mother condemn Adam based on old history. She knows Adam has made mistakes. She also knows he has spent years trying to prove that he can be more than the man everyone remembers. And when Nikki questions Adam's intentions, Victoria may have something unexpected to say. Billy Abbott finds the keys to the kingdom. Billy has never been known for doing things halfway. Once an idea gets into his head, he tends to pursue it with the kind of determination that can either produce an extraordinary victory or create an enormous disaster. This time, Billy believes he has uncovered something that could completely rewrite the ownership history of Chancellor Industries. He has been searching through old records because something about Chancellor's past never made sense to him. The company survived difficult financial periods, ownership changes, family disputes, and corporate battles. Yet somewhere in those complicated records, Billy believes there was an arrangement that was never properly recognized. And now he believes that arrangement involves his family. Billy's discovery has already stunned Jack Abbott and Kyle Abbott. They aren't immediately convinced that Billy has interpreted everything correctly. That is important. Because Jack knows his brother. Jack knows Billy has a tendency to become emotionally invested in a theory before every piece of evidence has been examined. Kyle is more cautious as well. Neither man wants Billy to rush into another corporate war without knowing exactly what he is getting himself into. But Billy doesn't see it that way. To him, this isn't another impulsive business move. It's justice. It's history. And perhaps most importantly, it's personal. Billy believes the Abbotts may have been pushed aside when they should have had a legitimate claim to Chancellor. If he is right, the consequences could be enormous. Jack warns Billy not to start another war. Billy's conversation with Jack and Kyle should make one thing clear: the Abbott family isn't united behind his plan. Jack understands why Billy is excited. He also understands why Billy is angry. But Jack doesn't necessarily believe that excitement and anger are enough to justify launching an attack on Chancellor. Jack warns Billy to think carefully. What happens if Billy's interpretation of the documents is wrong? What happens if Kane fights back? What happens if Lily refuses to surrender control? And what happens if the battle destroys Billy's personal life? Billy has already experienced enough chaos to know that business conflicts can quickly become personal in Genoa City. Yet his response suggests that he's already made up his mind. He's ready for a fight. Jack may see danger. Billy sees an opportunity. That difference could become one of the biggest sources of conflict in the coming episodes. Kyle may find himself caught between his father's caution and his uncle's determination. He knows Billy can be reckless, but he also knows that Billy wouldn't spend this much time investigating Chancellor unless he genuinely believed he had discovered something important. The question is whether Billy has discovered the truth or simply found evidence that can be interpreted in multiple ways. Billy takes his claim straight to Kane and Lily. The biggest moment comes when Billy encounters Kane and Lily. They aren't expecting the conversation to become a corporate declaration of war. In fact, Kane and Lily are initially in a much more relaxed mood. They have their own hopes for Chancellor. Kane wants to rebuild his life. Lily wants to focus on the company's future. And both of them have reason to believe Billy can be useful to their plans. That's precisely what makes Billy's revelation so shocking. Instead of talking about working together, Billy tells them that his investigation has reached its conclusion. Lily has already heard about Billy digging into Chancellor's history. She doesn't like it. From her perspective, the past is becoming a distraction. Chancellor needs stability. It needs leadership. It needs people who are focused on moving forward rather than reopening decades-old corporate battles. Kane appears more willing to hear Billy out. But Lily's patience is running thin. She wants Billy to stop digging. Billy has other ideas. He tells them that they will be happy to know that his search is over. But that's not the reassuring statement Lily expected. Billy has stopped searching because he believes he found exactly what he was looking for. The documents. The history. The connection. The evidence. Everything he believes proves his claim. Then Billy delivers the words that could change Chancellor forever. He tells Kane and Lily that Chancellor Industries is his, and that he can prove it. For Kane, the statement is almost impossible to process. For Lily, it could be infuriating. And for both of them, the question becomes immediate. What exactly did Billy find? Lily refuses to simply hand over Chancellor. Lily isn't going to surrender Chancellor just because Billy has found old documents. She has too much invested in the company. She has too much history with Chancellor. And she has too much at stake personally. Kane may initially try to understand Billy's position, but Lily could see the situation differently. To her, Billy's discovery doesn't automatically make him the rightful owner. There are legal questions. There are corporate questions. There are questions about the authenticity and interpretation of the documents. And there is the enormous issue of what happened between the original parties involved. Billy may have found evidence. But evidence isn't necessarily the same thing as a guaranteed legal victory. Lily will likely demand proof. Billy will likely provide it. And that is where things could become explosive. Because if the documents really do support Billy's claim, Kane and Lily could suddenly find themselves defending a company they thought was secure. Kane is caught between Billy and Lily. Kane's position is particularly complicated. He has a history with Billy. They have worked together. They have fought. They have competed. They have both been connected to Chancellor in different ways. Now Kane is trying to rebuild his relationship with Lily and create a stable future. Billy's revelation threatens that stability. Kane may actually understand why Billy is making his claim. But understanding Billy doesn't mean Kane will surrender. Kane has fought too hard to regain his place. He won't simply walk away. And Lily certainly won't want him to. This could put Kane in an uncomfortable position. If he supports Lily, Billy could see him as an enemy. If he acknowledges that Billy may have a legitimate claim, Lily could accuse him of undermining their future. Either way, Kane has something to lose. And Billy may not realize just how personal this battle could become. Billy's confidence could be his greatest weakness. There's another possibility. Billy could be right about the ownership documents, but still make a terrible mistake in how he handles them. His biggest problem isn't necessarily the evidence. It's Billy himself. He has a tendency to rush. He wants immediate results. He wants people to understand his position immediately. And when people question him, he often becomes even more determined. That's exactly what Jack fears. Billy may have discovered something historically significant. But instead of quietly having lawyers verify every detail, he is already announcing that Chancellor belongs to him. That's dangerous. Because once the declaration becomes public, there is no easy way to retreat. If Billy is wrong, he'll look reckless. If he's right, he'll still have created enemies. Either way, the Chancellor battle could consume him. And Sally Spectra may not be thrilled about that. Sally could become the voice of reason. Billy's personal life could be affected just as much as his professional life. Sally knows Billy well enough to recognize his patterns. When Billy becomes obsessed with something, everything else can disappear. His business. His relationships. His responsibilities. His peace of mind. Sally may wonder whether Billy is repeating an old mistake. Does he really want Chancellor? Or does he simply want to prove that he can win? That's an important distinction. Because if Billy's motivation is primarily revenge or validation, the Chancellor fight could become toxic. But if his motivation is genuinely about correcting an injustice against his family, Sally may eventually support him. The problem is that Billy may not know which motivation is driving him. The Abbott family faces another test. For Jack, the situation is more than a corporate dispute. It's about the Abbott name. If Billy has discovered that the family has a legitimate claim to Chancellor, Jack cannot simply ignore it. At the same time, Jack doesn't want the Abbott family dragged into another humiliating public battle. The Abbotts have spent years fighting among themselves. Jack understands how quickly a business dispute can become a family war. That's why his warning to Billy matters. Jack isn't necessarily saying Billy is wrong. He's saying Billy needs to be certain. But Billy interprets caution as hesitation. And that could create a deeper divide between the brothers. Nikki Newman is keeping up appearances. Across town, Nikki is facing a completely different kind of battle. Nick is in rehab. His addiction has caused enormous pain for the Newman family. And Nikki is trying to remain strong. But behind the confidence, she's terrified. She wants to believe Nick will recover. She wants to believe this time will be different. She wants to believe her son can overcome the crisis. Yet there is another fear that keeps returning. Christian. Nick's son. If Nick's recovery becomes more difficult than expected, who will take care of Christian? Adam has already stepped in to help. And that's where Nikki's suspicion begins. She knows Adam is Christian's biological father. She also knows that Adam has a complicated relationship with Nick. To Nikki, those facts create a dangerous combination. She wonders whether Adam might eventually decide that Nick's struggle gives him an opportunity. Victoria doesn't agree. Victoria defends Adam. Victoria has every reason to distrust Adam. Their history is complicated. They've fought. They've competed. Their family has been torn apart by Adam's actions more than once. But Victoria also knows something Nikki may be forgetting. People can change. Adam has spent years trying to redefine himself. He isn't the same person he was during some of his darkest periods. And Victoria may argue that his behavior toward Christian proves it. Adam isn't trying to steal Christian from Nick. He's trying to protect him while Nick gets help. That's a significant difference. Victoria may tell Nikki that Adam has every right to care about his son. That doesn't mean he wants Nick to fail. It doesn't mean he wants to replace Nick. And it certainly doesn't mean Christian should be turned into a prize in another Newman family battle. Nikki's fear is bigger than Adam. The truth is that Nikki's suspicion may have less to do with Adam than with Nick's condition. She's scared. She's watching her son struggle with addiction. She's watching Christian suffer. And she knows that Adam is standing nearby. That combination naturally creates fear. If Nick succeeds in rehab, everything becomes simpler. Christian returns to his father. Adam remains an involved biological parent. The family moves forward. But if Nick fails? Then Nikki has to confront a possibility she doesn't want to imagine. Adam could become more important in Christian's life. And that possibility terrifies her. Not necessarily because Adam is incapable of being a good father, but because Nikki remembers everything that came before. She remembers the destruction. She remembers the betrayals. She remembers the family conflicts. For Nikki, history matters. For Victoria, the present matters more. Victoria reminds Nikki that Adam is still Christian's father. Victoria's defense of Adam could become one of the most interesting Newman family conversations. She isn't necessarily asking Nikki to trust Adam completely. Instead, she's asking her mother to judge his actions. What has Adam actually done? Has he tried to undermine Nick's recovery? Has he told Christian that Nick is a bad father? Has he encouraged Christian to reject Nick? No. Adam has been trying to reassure Christian. He's trying to answer difficult questions. He's trying to be there because Nick asked him to help. That's not the behavior of someone secretly plotting a takeover. It's the behavior of a father who realizes his son needs him. Victoria could make that distinction very clear. Adam's conversation with Chelsea changes everything. Adam's own conversation with Chelsea could reveal why Nikki's concerns are complicated. Adam admits that Christian isn't doing well. The teenager knows more about Nick's addiction than Adam expected. He understands how dangerous the situation can become. And Adam doesn't know what to tell him. That puts Adam in a difficult position. He wants to protect Christian without frightening him. He wants to support Nick without pretending everything is fine. And he wants to be a father without appearing as though he's waiting for Nick to fail. Chelsea recognizes how complicated that is. She also knows Adam's history. She can tell when he's struggling with his own emotions. Adam may even admit that he's thinking about what could happen if Nick's situation gets worse. That's not necessarily ambition. It may simply be fear. Adam knows what it means to lose control of your life. He knows what addiction can do. He knows what family conflict can destroy. And he doesn't want Christian caught in the middle. The question of Christian's future. This storyline could become much larger than Nick's rehab. It could become a battle over Christian's emotional future. Christian is old enough to understand what's happening. He knows his father is in rehab. He knows addiction is serious. He knows Adam is his biological father. And he may begin asking questions that no adult can easily answer. Does Nick still love him? Will Nick come home? What happens if Nick doesn't recover? Where does Adam fit into his life? Those questions could create tension throughout the Newman family. Nikki may want everyone to protect Christian from Adam. Victoria may believe Christian deserves the truth. Adam may want to be present without overstepping. And Nick, from rehab, may worry that his family is falling apart while he's trying to get better. Victor has his own concerns. Victor Newman understands family conflict better than almost anyone. He also understands how quickly a private crisis can become public. That's why Victor's approach is different. He wants Nick protected. He doesn't want his son's addiction becoming gossip. He also doesn't want Adam exploiting the situation. But Victor knows Adam. And Victor may recognize that Adam's intentions aren't necessarily malicious. Victor's concern is control. He wants the Newman family to control the narrative. He wants Christian protected. He wants Nick to have the space to recover. And he wants Adam to understand that there are boundaries. That creates an interesting balance. Victor may not fully trust Adam, but he may trust him enough to let him help. Victoria's defense could put her against Nikki. Victoria defending Adam could surprise Nikki. For years, Victoria and Adam have had one of the most complicated relationships in Genoa City. So when Victoria speaks in Adam's defense, Nikki may wonder why. Victoria's answer could be simple. Because Adam is family. Because Christian needs his father. And because Nick's recovery shouldn't become an excuse for another Newman war. Victoria isn't asking Nikki to forget Adam's past. She's asking her to stop assuming the worst. That distinction could lead to a surprisingly emotional conversation between mother and daughter. Nikki may not be convinced. But she may begin to see the situation differently. Meanwhile, Billy's bombshell is about to spread. While the Newman family deals with Nick and Adam, Billy's Chancellor revelation is already gaining momentum. Kane and Lily can't simply ignore him. They have to investigate. They have to consult lawyers. They have to examine the same archives Billy examined. And they have to figure out whether his claim has any legal foundation. That process could reveal even more secrets. What if Billy isn't the only person who has a claim? What if the documents contain additional information about the original ownership arrangement? What if someone intentionally buried the evidence? And what if the person who hid it had a reason? Those questions could turn Billy's discovery into a much larger mystery. Lily starts questioning Kane. The biggest personal casualty could be Lily and Kane's relationship. Lily wants Kane to be focused on their future. But Kane is intrigued by Billy's discovery. Even if Kane doesn't want to admit it, the possibility that Billy has uncovered something legitimate could be fascinating. Lily may interpret his curiosity as disloyalty. Kane may insist he's simply trying to understand the situation. But arguments don't always begin with betrayal. Sometimes they begin with fear. Lily fears losing Chancellor. She fears losing stability. And she fears that Kane's history with Billy could drag them into another mess. Kane fears Lily doesn't trust him. And he doesn't want another conflict to destroy their relationship. Billy may unintentionally become the wedge between them. Billy doesn't intend to apologize. Billy's declaration to Kane and Lily doesn't sound like the beginning of a negotiation. It sounds like the beginning of a campaign. He believes he has found the truth. He believes the company should be his. And now he intends to prove it. That's very Billy. He may even tell Lily that he doesn't want to hurt her. He respects her. He respects Kane. But respect doesn't change what the documents say. If Chancellor legally belongs to Billy, he believes he has no choice but to pursue it. That attitude could infuriate Lily. Because from her perspective, Billy does have a choice. He could walk away. He could negotiate. He could allow the company to continue operating while the ownership dispute is settled. But Billy wants action. Kane has to choose a strategy. Kane's smartest move may be to avoid reacting emotionally. If he attacks Billy immediately, Billy will become even more determined. If he dismisses Billy, he risks ignoring a legitimate threat. So Kane may decide to investigate quietly. That could frustrate Lily. She may want Billy stopped immediately. Kane may argue that they need facts first. And that difference in strategy could lead to a major argument. Lily wants certainty. Kane wants information. Billy wants control. Those three desires are about to collide. Could Chancellor become the next Newman Abbott war? Genoa City has seen countless corporate battles. But this one could be especially significant because of the people involved. Billy Abbott. Kane Ashby. Lily Winters. Jack Abbott. Kyle Abbott. And potentially other members of the Chancellor legacy. If Billy's claim holds up, the ownership structure of Chancellor could be transformed. That would affect more than Billy. It could affect careers, relationships, investments, and family alliances. People who currently have no reason to take sides could soon be forced to choose. That's exactly the kind of storyline that can spread across Genoa City. Billy may have opened a door he can't close. There's also a danger Billy may not fully understand. Winning Chancellor doesn't necessarily mean winning peace. Even if the documents prove him right, Kane and Lily won't simply disappear. They will fight. They'll challenge him legally. They'll question his motives. They'll probably search for evidence of their own. And Billy could eventually find himself defending every decision he makes. The company might become his. But the battle could cost him friendships, relationships, and trust. Billy may believe ownership is the goal. But the real challenge will be what he does after he gets it. Victoria's message to Nikki. Back at the Newman ranch, Victoria may have the most important message of the day. She wants Nikki to stop thinking about Adam as the villain of every story. Adam is flawed. He's complicated. He's made terrible choices. But that doesn't mean every choice he makes today is secretly part of a scheme. Victoria could remind Nikki that Christian needs adults who can cooperate. He doesn't need another war. Nick needs recovery. Christian needs stability. And Adam needs the chance to prove himself through his actions. Nikki may still resist. But Victoria's argument could stay with her. Because Nikki knows something about second chances. She's given them. She's needed them. And she's watched her children need them. Perhaps Adam deserves one too. The emotional parallel between Billy and Adam. Interestingly, Billy and Adam's stories have a surprising parallel. Both men are trying to prove something. Billy wants to prove that Chancellor belongs to him. Adam wants to prove that he can be a good father. Both are dealing with the weight of their past. Both are surrounded by people who don't completely trust them. And both are being judged according to who they used to be. Billy may believe his family history gives him the right to Chancellor. Adam may believe his present actions give him the right to be part of Christian's life. In both cases, the question is whether Genoa City will allow them to define themselves, or continue defining them by their mistakes. What happens next? The August 14th storyline appears to set up several major conflicts. Billy's Chancellor claim isn't going away. Kane and Lily now have to decide how seriously to take him. Jack and Kyle may become involved if the Abbott claim is legitimate. Sally could become increasingly concerned about Billy's obsession. And Lily and Kane may find themselves arguing over whether Billy is a serious threat. Meanwhile, Nikki's distrust of Adam could continue. Victoria's defense of Adam may not convince everyone. Christian's emotional state could become increasingly important. And Nick's recovery remains the biggest uncertainty of all. The most dangerous possibility is that Nick's rehab struggles could unintentionally turn Christian into the center of another Newman family power struggle. Adam doesn't want that. Victoria doesn't want that. And even Nikki may eventually realize that Christian needs everyone to stop fighting. Friday's The Young and the Restless storyline brings together two very different battles. Billy Abbott is fighting for a company. Victoria Newman is fighting for a person. Billy believes the past has given him a legitimate claim to Chancellor Industries. Victoria believes Adam's past shouldn't automatically determine his future. Both storylines revolve around the same fundamental question. Can people escape the roles their families have assigned to them? Billy wants the Abbott name to mean something at Chancellor. Adam wants to be more than the Newman family's perpetual troublemaker. Kane and Lily want to protect the future they have built. Nikki wants to protect Nick and Christian from another disaster. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, the truth may be much more complicated than anyone expects. Billy's claim could trigger one of Genoa City's biggest corporate wars. Adam's involvement with Christian could reopen old Newman wounds. And Nick's recovery could determine which direction the entire family takes next. For Billy, the battle has already begun. For Kane and Lily, the fight may be unavoidable. For Nikki, trust remains difficult. And for Victoria, defending Adam could be only the beginning of a much bigger family confrontation.